The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women Podcast. A place where two comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Boobs. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women Podcast, where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm Kristen Carney, your wonderful co-host, along with, of course, Marni Kinrys, the best-selling author and relationship expert, and I should say the book, which is Get Inside Her. And we, of course, have Mo, the man, the myth, the legend.
Wow. Thank you for that.
You're
intro.
welcome.
It's the best one you've ever given me.
Well,
seriously, it was the nicest one for sure.
it was sarcastic, but I don't know if anyone could sense that, but it was sarcastic.
They couldn't see her face while she was delivering it. Okay, before
it
we
was
get
bright
started,
red and angry.
is there anything in my teeth?
No, you look good.
Okay, good. I just don't want to start smiling and have like green stuff. I was eating my paleo salad. Yeah,
Paleo.
which is really good. It's like
No, it's not.
Yes, it is really
You know
good.
what's good? Pizza.
Yeah, that is really good.
You know what's good? In and out.
In-N-Out is good. All these things are good. I just
know,
don't have cravings for them anymore.
The lines at In-N-Out Burger are so long that they should change it to INN, In-Out.
Because you can sleep
Like
over.
you sleep over there. God, I hate myself. Anyway, welcome to the show. We have a really funny comic coming into the studio the second half. His name's Eli Braden. You can hear him on the Howard Stern Show. He's a recently divorced man, which is very important to some of you guys out there. We've never really touched upon that in
No,
too
we've
much
talked
of
to
depth.
divorced women.
Yeah. So we'll see the man's point of view. And also remember to follow us on Twitter at Ask Women Podcast. It's the place to be, everybody. But I watched the Golden Globes this weekend, and I'm a huge fan of The Wolf of Wall Street and happy that Leo got recognized as a comedic actor because I thought it was so funny.
I thought he was just fantastic. I want him to win an Oscar because he
never will.
I know. He's like
so not
many great roles.
Yeah, but he's not favored by the people of Hollywood for some reason.
I think he might win this time. I was surprised he won the Globe, but he got robbed, I think, several years ago when he did The Aviator.
By a masked man.
For The Aviator?
For The Aviator, he got robbed by Capote, by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
there's a
so
lot
it
of great actors that year.
Yeah.
That's what happens every year he's nominated. There's a whole bunch of fantastic male roles.
Mm-hmm.
So, but The Wolf of Wall Street was really interesting because it was like the epitome of man, basically. It was like all testosterone, just watching men, and I was just
Like
thinking,
if
are men
every
really
man
like
had
this?
access to that, not every man, but a lot of men. Most men had access to that amount of money and looks and charm and whatever, they would all behave, I'm assuming, the way that
But do you think
the
all
actual guy
people
did.
would behave that way? Or
No,
all
I mean, you have people like me who can barely get out of bed in the morning. If I had $1 gajillion, I would still be like, I think I would rather be
sleep
alone.
here? But put yourself in a room with, let's say, 40 other women who are making a ton of money. You're all doing it together, and you're all I would think that you would slowly start to change the way that you think
would.
about what you can do.
I was just reading a study, and they did this, right, where it was a Stanford study. They brought in all these people, and they were playing Monopoly. And one person who was the banker, right, had the rules of the games changed, so then he would win more and make more money. So every time he passed go, he'd collect $500 instead of the $200, right?
Yeah.
So they were taping these people. And as the game was going on, the person with the more money, with the more success, was putting down the other person and rubbing it in their face.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, of course.
And taking all of their property and enjoying every single money and just stacking and counting their money really loud.
Yeah.
I used to do
Shit
that when
like
I was
that.
younger, and I would play Monopoly because we used to have a rule: whenever you pass go, you collect $200. We had messed up rules for sure. 'cause we were
That
kids.
is the rule.
Is that the rule?
Yeah.
I don't know because some people play that they don't do it.
What? That's the only way I would ever make money on Monopoly because I'm the worst business person in the world. So I'm I just want to keep
I'm not buying any
circling.
properties. I'm just going to keep
Yeah,
rolling.
just going through go. I'm just gonna get $200 at a time. I'm gonna live very mediocre, within mediocre terms, whatever.
Hopefully, don't land in jail or land on any properties.
I'm the sheep of Wall Street, or not even of the sheep of Main Street, I guess.
But it's interesting what happens to you when you do have that amount of money and you do have that amount of power. What kind of confidence, false
Exactly.
confidence, it gives you.
Confidence and entitlement.
An entitlement, absolutely. So
And you shit on women, and they just love it.
No,
I feel like it was just Leo playing Leo. He's known for
Probably.
being womanizy and I loved the joke that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler had on the
For
Golden
George
Globes.
Clooney?
No, for Leonardo DiCaprio. They said they were introducing him. They said something like a runway models, warm vagina. Welcome, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah, I like that as well. Well, actually, this is a really good transition into what I wanted to talk about today, because you just said that girls love assholes, basically. So I wanted to tell you about this one guy who had written an email to me. He's one of my VIP members. If you buy a program from me on the Wing Girl Method, you get a free week of email coaching with me, and I actually answer every email, and I get a couple of hundred of them each day.
VIP.
So it's a lot, but those are the only emails that I respond to, plus the ones that are on this podcast.
How much do you hate email?
I hate it.
If you never see it again in your life, would you be fine?
The truth is, I like it for some reason. It's like it gets my brain going. I'm an extrovert, so that energizes me. It becomes draining when I'm answering basically the same thing over and over and over again, and somebody sends me like an 18-paragraph email thinking that they're the most unique person in the entire world, where I just skip to the bottom and read their question, and usually it goes along with what they're saying.
Right.
But I actually love it, and that's my favorite part of my job, is interacting with people. That's why I like doing this. But so this one guy had written in about an experience where he was in Cancun for a 5-day holiday there by himself. I think he was staying like at a hostel or something where there were other people, younger people staying there too. And he teamed up with this group of cute girls, 5 cute girls, and they sort of took him under their wing and said, let's go out for the night. So they go into a taxi, and the one who's like the leader girl of the bunch, there's always like a leader girl.
There's always a leader.
Who's in control. Exactly. Exactly. So they start talking, and she asks him, what do you do for a living? And he sort of jokes around with her and just says like, oh, I just like hang around Cancun, whatever it is. And she kept persisting and asking him, and he wouldn't answer, and he kept giving her playful responses. So eventually she kind of got pissed off and was basically said, like, screw you. Like, I'm not going to keep asking these questions if you're not going to give me anything back. It's not cutesy. I'm not liking it. And then he pat her on the leg in some way, and she said to her friends, oh, God, I hate when guys give me that condescending pat on the leg. Anyway, so she was being very clear about where she was in the evening. So then they got out of the taxi, and they were in, like, the street where all the bars are in Mexico or in Cancun. And they're trying to decide where to go, and he decides to go to one bar, and the leader basically says, like, hey, we're out, we're going to go somewhere else. They end up bumping into each other later on in the night. And then I'm just going to read the second part of his email that he wrote me, because it clearly explains what actually happened. So then the leader pulled me over for a chat. She said, you could be spending your evening with us if you had just told us what you did for a living instead of making a big deal about not telling us. I pulled away, smiled, and motioned her closer. She looked at me and said, no, I don't like that. I said, just what do you like? She shook her head. I shrugged my shoulders and began walking away. I began walking away. I leaned in to say goodbye to a previously friendly girl, and she too pulled back as if following the leader. I just smiled and kept walking. I'd had several chances to interact with them that evening, but instead went my own way. My initial thoughts of a great evening with them evaporated. Your comments. So, am I explaining that properly of what happened?
This sounds like it should be the segment that I wanted to do called Tool Time.
Yeah. Seriously, where did that go? Why did you want to do that?
I don't know. I forgot about it.
Yeah. So
I don't know how I could forget about it with the amount of tools there are. But.
So tell me, actually, Mo, you tell me what you hear from this scenario.
Well, this is, and look, women want mystery, right? You don't want to give them all the answers right up front because you want them to solve it. And women enjoy solving it. It's a mental stimulus. The problem with him is he didn't give enough answers when he needed to. Right. He created the mystery. That got you in. That got you hanging out with them for the night, right? Well, now it's like you're already in, okay? Not only that, this woman is the leader, so you don't want to piss her off. You just want to hang out with her, make her happy enough to where everyone's drunk, and then you kind of get your pick of the litter by the end of the night. But he needed to give more answers and open up a little bit more, so then they felt, okay, now we're comfortable with this guy.
And now we can have a balance of being flirty and bantery and having real or not even real conversations. Nobody needs real conversations. But women, especially a group of women who have invited this man to come with them, in order for them to get a better sense of who he is, they have to ask questions. Women aren't asking questions to interrogate you. They're asking questions to decide whether or not you're a man that they want to have with them for the night, for sex, for a long-term relationship, for a friendship, for an enemy, whatever it is. Like I had, he's actually my lawyer now, the guy I'm going to tell you about. But when I first met him, he came over to my house. He was with one of my friends, and we had a very similar exchange where, you know, he's this guy. He happens to be from Toronto as well. I had just moved to Los Angeles. I'm excited to meet other people who are from Toronto. He was cute. He was a lawyer. He had all these wonderful things about him. But I started talking to him and asking him questions. And before I knew he was a lawyer, and asking him, like, what do you do for a living? And then, oh, what kind of law? Whatever it was. He would not answer the questions and just keep giving me responses very similar to this guy, where he was trying to be sort of cutesy, but not reading what I was putting out there. Because every time he wouldn't answer, I would get more and more frustrated with him because I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you,
The thing is, when women first meet a guy, or people in general, we have maybe like a 25% care-o-meter. And I mean like care-o-meter.
Yeah.
You need to make that either rise or fall. People don't start at 100% caring about you. So if you're not going to answer any questions, that immediately goes from whatever little 25% was there down to zero. Because you've given, like, you've come across, when you do something like that, like you're very self-important, but you don't, or very important, but you don't give women the chance to understand why you're important. So it comes off really gross. And I think men have this pressure because they think witty banter is the, way to get in with women. They don't understand that there's a stopping point. It's like, if too much of anything is horrible. If you went in and not bantering at all, that's horrible too. So you have to figure out when to stop.
Right, where the balance is. And like what Kristen and I were talking about this before, because we, talk about stuff before we go on the air. But we were saying this is, without him knowing, he is the douchebag that we talk about. And that's the sad part, because he doesn't mean to be the douchebag at all.
The difference is, like, Mo is like self-aware douchebag, which is like cutesy.
Right.
He's not not self-aware douchebag, so he's tooly.
Exactly, because he kept going with the flirting, even though she was not giving any of that back. I understand that when you first start with a woman, sometimes you gotta keep going to get her to knock down that wall. But if you've kept going and she's already said to you things like, I hate that condescending pat, and just answer the freaking question.
You know what that's like? That's like rowing your boat down Niagara Falls. It's like, no, it's not necessary. You're already moving.
Exactly. Absolutely. So that's, okay, I know you've already passed this point, but that's what I wanted to talk about for this week's chapter in The Man's Playbook. Okay, so basically what we're saying now is to balance what you put out there with women. You want to show that you have multiple levels to yourself. If a woman is consistently asking you what you do and you're always bantering back with her and being mysterious, she's going to get bored very easily. You have to give her something to work with. So what would be the way to handle that balance?
Literally, unless you're Superman.
Right.
You can't be that mysterious.
Exactly.
I would joke and be mysterious and get their attention, right? But then once you're in, right, and that joke is done and that thing is done, then you could move on to other things and open up a little. Because that's what, at the end of the day, you need to be able to open up a little bit, right?
Yeah, you have to give them a peek of who you are.
Show them your life a little bit. And even if you're an accountant, even whatever you do, if you're passionate about it, if you care about it, just kind of talk about it a little bit. Or if it's something that you're not really passionate about, be like, I do this, it's all right, but I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about something else.
Exactly. You know, a great way to be mysterious is to be semi-mysterious within your social media. I know for me, when I met my boyfriend, Nate, he had nothing on his Facebook. He had 3 pictures and would barely ever update, but it was there. And so I was always so curious. He had to be doing something way cooler if he didn't have time to post all the shit on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good way. You don't have to be mysterious up front. You can be mysterious in other ways.
Well, for this guy, so the first initial interaction that they had, where she said, what do you do for a living? And he was like, I'm a lone backpacker in Cancun, and he made up this story. And she's like, ha ha ha. Okay, no, really, what do you do? And then he continued on with it. So what he could have done to show that balance, because it's all about balance. You want to have the funny guy, you want to have the deeper guy, and then you want to have the seducer. That's the balance that you're trying to maintain for the entire evening. And seducer has to do with mystery as well, even though you're stating your attention, but it's still mysterious. But he could have said, just joking, I'm an accountant. And then you could have continued on to why you're in Cancun. Mm-hmm. So it's like you say what you do, like she asked. She doesn't want to hear about accounting, and she doesn't want to hear about numbers and how April 15th is going to be the worst day of your life. But she wants to hear more a tidbit of who you are, and then she wants to hear a further explanation as to why you're in Cancun. No, there's no need to, be that mysterious.
A good joke to make would be like, oh, I do accounting while I'm backpacking. If you want to like try to continue bantering.
Exactly.
I'm going to stand up for man here really quick.
Sit down.
Because this guy is not a horrible guy.
No, that's the thing. He's not a douchebag at all.
He just needs to know a bitch when he sees one. This chick's a bitch. And and I hate girls like this. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
No.
Right? Great movie because it pins women on the nose, and it pins Hollywood-type women on the nose. And Robert Downey Jr. walks into the bar, and the first thing he goes, oh, hey, how are you doing? Just says hi to a woman to have a conversation, like, how are you, right? First thing she says, oh, what do you do? Oh, you're not anything of importance? Okay, next. And then every girl he walks up to in that bar says, oh, what do you do? Oh, okay, no, nothing important, next. And it really frustrates us men sometimes because sometimes we want to go to a bar. I don't need to tell you I'm an accountant. I drive a Mercedes. I live in this house. My net worth is
but you have to give most women, the benefit of the doubt that they're not going to be curious about what your car is at the moment.
But by the sound of this woman, she was looking for, okay, you had to be of some certain social status. And I know women who are like this.
That's not what I hear.
With women like this. And it's the same woman who's like, don't touch my leg. That's condescending. And I'm just like, yo, girl, do I have the dick in my pants or do you have the dick in your pants?
I don't hear that actually.
She was probably like the Berlin Wall for these women, and like he was trying to knock it down. And I get what you're saying, but I also get what Marni's saying because I don't think she was looking for the specific right answers. I think she was looking for him to not be douchey, and then once she figured out he wasn't douchey, he would be welcomed in.
When you are that overtly a douchebag, I'm a nice person, and I will tell you, I have done this to a lot of men because it literally makes my blood boil inside because I just see such an unaware person, such a self-absorbed. That's what I really think. Like just somebody who does not understand social etiquette, and it bothers me that much that I probably would have done the exact same thing. I'm not sure if I would have said, "Oh, great, the condescending pat," because that's a bitchy comment to make. But for me, sometimes when you are getting to know random people who are hopping along in a taxi with you, going on out for the evening, it's hard to think of questions to ask. So sometimes the easier thing to ask is, what do you do for a living? Yeah. There's nothing actually behind it. It's not a loaded question. Those girls who were at the bar for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I'm sure there are women like that out there. Absolutely. Don't go near any of them and just tell them to fuck off because, they're not for you. But I don't think that's what most women are doing. They are actually trying to either come up with conversation or figure out who the fuck is coming in a taxi cab with them.
What you do about you can say a lot. So if you do accounting, that means you're a certain type of person. So I know if I met someone who is an accountant, just because my brain does not know how to do math whatsoever or have any interest in numbers, I'd be like, oh, cool, we probably might not mesh.
But they're also an accountant that's in Cancun by themselves. So
right, which is fine. But it's like, for women asking that question, it can create a million more things to talk about as well. That's
what we're trying to do. We're connectors.
That's the problem. The problem is a couple white girls have gone on these Cancun adventures and have disappeared.
Exactly. It's saying, are you a rapist?
The lucky
ones.
You
a rapist? Is this what you do every single week where you jump in and then you kill somebody?
Am I going to be murdered?
Pretty much.
International story.
So I know this wasn't part of Analyze This, but we are analyzing a situation. So the main thing to learn from this chapter in the Man's Playbook is that you have to have a balance of what you present to women and just have to be really self-aware of what they're giving back to you. If you're constantly throwing flirting out there and they're giving you no emotions back whatsoever, whether it's through text or through conversation, whatever it is, either you have to readjust or you decide to eject from the conversation because what you're doing is not working and you're not getting the response you want. So balance between flirting and bantering, a little bit of humor, a little bit of seriousness,
I just pictured ejecting from a conversation being like way scarier than ejecting from an airplane. Sometimes it's just so hard, how to get out of that stuff.
It's hard. It's definitely hard.
And women get hot over fantasy and fall in love with honesty. So remember that.
They do, especially when it's said with, that's very true. When it's said with confidence and you own it.
Who did you steal that from?
I just made it up in the moment.
I don't Yes, that's exactly. He made that up. So poetic. All right, well, we have an amazing guest on the show. Who do we have?
We have Eli Braden, and so when we come back from the break, we will get him in here and chat about his love life.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Squarespace. It's the best website ever if you're looking to get a cool, trendy website. I used to have the nerdiest website ever. It looked like I built it when I was in 12th grade 10 years ago until I came across Squarespace. It's so easy and it's super cool looking and it gives me credibility because it makes me look smooth, like I paid a lot of money to get a really cool design. I had another service and it was like I couldn't ask any questions because there were no human beings. They didn't exist. It was like robot world. And I was like, I don't know. I guess if I want help, I'm just going to have to look on like a community web board. But with Squarespace, you can actually get in contact with the people that work for Squarespace. They're human beings, guys. And actually, their office or their help space is now called the Care Bear Lair. That's how caring they are. I had a question. They got back to me within probably 20 minutes with an answer. It's awesome. It's also really cheap and comes with a free domain name. Usually you have to go buy one and it's a big pain in the butt and then you can never remember your password for whatever website you bought it from. It's just $8 a month. And then if you get it through Ask Women, offer code AskWomen1 to get 10% off your first purchase. And then you also support our show, which is amazing because we need your help. So go to Squarespace. Make sure you use the offer code AskWomen1. Get 10% off your purchase. Make your website look cool, legitimate, and like you know more than you actually do. Because that's what mine is. Squarespace.com, promo code AskWomen1. That's the number 1.
This is an important announcement for anyone with a student loan who is having trouble making their monthly payments. If that's you, pay attention, because there's a special toll-free hotline that has been set up especially for you. So grab a pen and take this number down, or put it in your cell phone. 1-800-652-3707. That's 1-800-652-3707. When you call the National Student Loan Relief Hotline, you will get free information. That's free information to help you relieve the overwhelming financial burden of an ongoing, endless student loan. If you are behind, late on payments, or even in default of your student loan, the National Student Loan Relief Hotline can help you. You may also be able to cut your payments in half right away. The National Student Loan Relief Hotline can also stop the harassing phone calls, wage garnishments, and even remove tax liens. The National Student Loan Relief partner companies have helped thousands of people just like you fix their student loan problem. Call 1-800-652-3707 for free information today. That's 1-800-652-3707. You're listening to the Ask Women podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Oh, great. Yeah. Welcome back to the Ask Women podcast. I'm here with we're here with Eli Braden, the very funny. Do you call yourself a musical comic? What's your title?
I call myself a musical comic. I call myself a comedic musician.
Oh, I like comedic musician.
I like that.
You like that one better?
Yeah. Comedic musician.
Okay.
I like
it
that.
It sounds smart.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. It has more syllables.
Yes, exactly. I like
Plus,
it.
I picture musical comic to be like
musical
very
comedy.
90s or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, I
Yeah,
picture
that
you
sounds
lip
more-
syncing, like musical comedy. I used to take musical comedy classes, and we would lip sync.
That's true. That's almost like it's a musical. It's like that connotes more
Right.
musical.
Yeah.
But comedic musician, that's what I'll go with then.
Yeah, here we have
good.
Broadway star.
Yeah.
Eventually gets to.
I call myself the new king of music-based comedy too.
Oh, I like that.
Really? I love
really
that.
professional. I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
Seriously.
very confident as well, because I would start out at Prince. I'd be like, I'm more the Prince. Of...
Yeah.
Well, but then people would confuse you, like thinking you're the
real
musician
Prince?
Prince.
I do look a lot like him.
You do. I'm so glad you're wearing your onesie today. Or something. No, is that what he wears? No, that's not a onesie. I don't know.
He wears like velvet suits.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I don't know.
He wears nothing.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of Prince videos last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
Why?
I was like,
Look
he's
at
awesome,
for
right?
Look at him.
inspiration, you know? He was like, this is what it sounds like. And he's like in a bathtub, like half naked.
I watched Purple Rain on LSD once. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I would recommend it. But what I wouldn't recommend is after it's over, switching to a documentary about Charles Manson. And I'm not even
a good
joking.
idea.
That happened.
I would start with that. That's what I would do.
Well, let's talk about you and women and dating, because that's what our show is all about.
Sure.
So for you being a comedic musician,
Right.
and the king of pop or whatever,
King
it
of
was.
music-based- I like
Yes.
King of Pop,
Yeah,
yeah.
King of
Michael
Pop.
Jackson.
So tell us about you and your dating life. Are you dating?
You know what? I'm just getting back into it. I'm just getting back in the water. I was married for almost 10 years. And we were together for almost 15 years, honestly.
Really?
So, I've been, I've had it's been about a year, and I've definitely had a few trysts, like just nothing consequential. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, I'm terrified, to be honest. Like, I'm just like, what's this all about? How does this happen?
Yeah.
You know, I don't have my youthful good looks to fall back on the way I used to.
What are you talking about? You look like Prince.
An older Prince, though. Then again, the Prince doesn't really age.
He does not age.
never.
It's crazy. Wait, so 15 years ago, roughly how old would you have been 15?
I was like 24, I guess.
Okay, so that's a big difference to come out of it as an adult, and you're in this whole new
It's a different world.
Yeah. So what are you doing to learn about this new world of dating and interacting with women?
To be honest, I mean, obviously the internet is great for that. I mean, it's a great way to just get to know somebody, anybody. I mean, not just women. I mean, I'm not gay. I'm not saying that.
You sound a little desperate there. You're like somebody, anybody.
Anybody talking to me. I'm on the forums.
I'm on Adult Friend Finder.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, social media is just a great way to get to know people. I mean, for me, it happened when I had kids. Like, I discovered Twitter. I didn't discover it. It had already been discovered.
The Christopher
What is
Columbus.
Twitter?
But, you know, when I was like stuck in the bedroom at 2 a.m. with a screaming kid,
right.
And you've got, there's all these people out there on my phone that I can talk to. And, you know, that's a great way to get to know people. And I mean, I think, back in the day, people might have said, well, that's kind of a strange way to meet people. But I think now we've realized it's actually the perfect way to get to know somebody, because then you get to know them, you meet them in person, and you already have gone through all the getting to know you stuff,
right.
You know, this is for friends or lovers or, you know, a one-night stand, whatever. You kind of know what you're getting with someone. So that's cool. But
so do you find that after you're separated, I'm not sure if you're divorced or separated, but
in the process of getting divorced.
Okay. So are you trying to rebuild your life? Like, have you made new friends now? Like, what were your steps besides going onto social media to get out there so that you
pretty
can
much
rebuild?
Just social media? No.
Really? No. just behind a desk?
Well, you know, it's I haven't really put a lot of energy into that, to be honest, because it's intimidating. You know, it's really intimidating, and I'm really, you know, I have kids, and it's really important to me to be a good dad and to not let this negatively affect them.
Right.
And I'm actually my ex and I are on really good terms, and that was very much like a thing. Like, I got to put my pain here because it's her thing. She has a boyfriend, my ex, and that was what caused this. Okay. Not any flaws on my part. No, I mean, our marriage had been in trouble for a while.
Right.
I was more of a guy of like, oh, well, you know, we have kids. Marriage sucks. That's life. We stick together. I think she had a different opinion. I think different people have different opinions on that.
Right.
You know?
Well, actually, that's a good thing to lead into. What have you learned from this situation with your ex that you're going to take into possibly another relationship? Because two people are always at fault. Some outcome may have happened in the end, but there was something that was happening before that led to a separation.
I just think that any relationship, you have to be engaged. I mean, if you're not engaged, it's going to die. And, you know, what that engagement is depends on everybody's different. I mean, I think there's a sexual component to it, although that's probably not necessarily true for everybody. But there's just been engagement. I mean, for us, I mean, this seems so trivial, but I think a huge part of why we drifted apart is because we really just, when we had that hour or two at the end of the day when the kids had finally fallen asleep, when we could do what we wanted to do, we wanted to do different things, you know. And
was it always from the get-go? Because getting married when you're in your like mid to young 20s, you can change at that point, you know, at this point.
Well, I think we had the luxury of time, and we were different people. But I mean, I always kind of thought like, oh, you know, it's good to be with someone who's different from you. It's kind of a complementary situation. Yeah. You don't want to be with somebody who's your exact clone, unless you're Prince.
Right.
Because,
or me.
Or you.
Amazing.
But, you know, it just got to that point where it was like, we just don't have that much in common anymore. And, you know, I don't know. It was tough.
Yeah. Did it seem to take off a little bit when you started to get into the comedy and all that scene, or did that come after the divorce or after the separation?
Well, I mean, I've always been, you know, in the entertainment, trying to make it in the entertainment business, and I've never been like super successful. So it's, you know, if we were at a point where money wasn't an issue, things might have gone differently, to be honest, you know. But it was always financial, especially once you have kids. You don't even realize. I mean, you're about to find out that, you know, it's crazy how expensive kids are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have other guy friends that are going through the same thing, or have that you can kind of talk to?
Yeah, there's been people, you know, a few people in particular reached out. Even people, it was kind of cool because it was a couple guys I didn't really know that well, you know, and they both were kind of like reached out right away and were like, you know, and had nice deep conversations with
And
them
they'd
about
gone
that.
through this. They're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of knew like it helps to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's, you know.
Well,
Someone to strangle.
So I work with like hundreds of thousands of men all over the world, and I get lots of emails every day from men who are recently divorced, very similar situations to you, who are like, okay, I was single when I was 18 or I was 22, but now what the hell do I do? Like, this is a totally new world, and especially with technology and social media, it's actually a completely different world. And my advice to them is always like rebuild your single self first, because there's no need to focus on dating yet until you figure out who you are again as an individual.
Rebuild your man sexy.
Yeah, you totally have to
there's an
rebuild
impulse,
your man
Or just build it.
I mean, I'm a pretty independent person. Like I have loner tendencies, and I like to be alone. I'm very self-sufficient in that way. But like, there is that tendency to immediately. I've found this thing like where, you know, a couple women that I've met, I'm like instantly like, I want to instantly jump into a relationship with this person before even dating or even hooking up. Like, I want to have a relationship. You know, I could see us having a relationship, and that's so insane. You know, to even.
Well, you're in relationship mode. That makes complete sense because it's like you've been in that space for so long.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, of course I want to have another relationship. It's comfortable, and that's what I know how to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to be the single person anymore. Because
Right.
even for myself, I would say like, I don't know how to be a single person, although I teach people about it a lot, so it might be kind of faster for me to re-pick it back up. But if I were, you know, God forbid, to end my marriage with my husband, I know that I would take 3 to 5 months to really focus on me and what I wanted.
I would take like 3 to 5 years to just finally be able to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then at that point, maybe, I don't know how quick I can't imagine how quick the recovery would be. I've been in a relationship for like 5 years, and when I remember we broke up for like a day, and I couldn't even imagine going into the world. And it's weird because I've always been a very independent person, but I found, because I'm very introverted and I isolate myself, that having that one other person is that outlet that an introvert needs, you know?
Well, actually, what were you just saying before? When off the air, you said a really good quote that you were like, I have to try and figure out how to fit this in. This actually fits in perfectly.
No, don't say it. It's cheesy.
No, I like it.
It was, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
Okay. And so for me, when I hear that, that means you make your own luck. You have to water the grass. So you can sit in bed for 18 years if you want, being depressed about losing a possible relationship that probably wasn't right for you if you broke up, or you can continue to water the grass a little bit every single day so that you take one tiny step to get out of bed, then get to interacting with people, then finding groups that you enjoy, and it slowly starts to dissipate and go away, and you are your new single self, so that you're not so attached to this relationship you that you used to be before. Like, I do find that a lot of people, and I've said this a million times, if there's like a goal in mind, they don't usually look at the mini steps in between to reach that crazy goal. They look at the huge goal, get psyched out by it, and then decide to just stay where they are because it becomes way too overwhelming to them. Men who want to approach women have the exact same thing. Men who want to escalate sexually with women have the exact same thing. They think about this big picture rather than drilling it down into tinier little things that they can actually accomplish.
I remember I've had some bad breakups, especially like 3-year, 4-year relationship breakups.
I bet you've broken some hearts.
Oh, I've crushed them, man. That's too bad.
And broken bones.
But one thing that really helped me, what I would do is, I'd get rid of every single song in my iPod, right? Because music is a great emotional trigger.
Yeah,
and
for
some
sure.
of these songs we associate with these other people, even if it wasn't meant for them. It was just I was listening to that song when I was with that person. So I would just start fresh with brand new music, right?
Have you listened to the Macarena since then?
It was so hard. She was great Latin spice of my life. But and then another thing I did, and I know it sounds really chauvinistic and pig-headed, but I literally slept with as many women as possible. And that was one of the best advice I got from my buddy. He pulled me aside. He's like, "You need to bang her out of your system.
You need to get an STD fast, buddy."
No, but I slept with a lot of women.
Yeah.
And it was like, and my first tendency was, I want to date you. I want to date you. I want to make you my girlfriend. And then I had to literally stop that.
Yeah.
But then once I started sleeping with women, and it kind of became like a game, I enjoyed it. It really built up my man sexy, built up my self confidence. Right. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm a man that women want. And I found as I got older, it was easier to get women. Right. Yeah. So my advice is, especially for newly single men who are maybe 40, go out there, have some fun, because you're going to be playing in a playground that you were playing in when you were in 20s, right? Except now you have the wisdom and the man confidence to destroy and have a great time.
That doesn't sound that great to me.
No.
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh, I like you for a second.
And then you're like, I hate you again.
But it just seems like that would feel so empty and shallow.
Yeah.
And
But look,
Big time.
it can't be empty and shallow. Yeah.
Well, what about the women, though? How do the women feel? Like, I mean, did you find yourself, like, sort of deceiving women a little bit to get in their pants?
This is what I'd tell them. I'd be like, look, I just got out of a fresh relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious. I want to be your friend. I want to get intimate with you. I want to help you.
I want to be your friend.
Yeah, I was like, look, I want to get intimate with you. I like you, but I don't want anything serious, right? So I want
to teach you about multiple orgasms.
So exactly, I would say, I'd be like, I'm here to build your woman sexy up as I build my man sexy. But look, I'm not
really. You use that phrase and they let you stay.
I swear, I would use it all the time. And you know what? The women
Some
would
of
be
them
like,
never women.
the women would be like, that's great, I'm in. Right? And
that's the thing. As long as you present it with honesty,
we'd have a great time.
Sure. Fine.
And then after 2 months, they'd have the relationship talk.
When I had a few
and then
days,
you have to set them down and go on to the next one.
Yeah.
But then they can't hate you because you were always honest.
You always
and you
said
Yeah.
I'm rebuilding me right now, but I'm looking for companionship.
Listen,
as
when
a
you
friend.
do
It's like, how can you rebuild something that never existed? That's what I would say to Bo.
But when you do break up, it is nice to get some attention from the opposite sex, especially if you were in a relationship where you weren't really getting that attention.
Yep.
So for me, like, I broke up with my husband for 3 days when we were dating, but like, I went out every night. I was like looking for makeouts.
Were you?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for
Women
sex.
are the women.
Sex.
I think when they break up, do the make out thing.
I
Like
just
as
wanted,
many
like, a little
people as you
tongue
can.
action.
Make out and
like your
blowjob
tongue
thing.
just is like.
Yeah, that's because it's fun and it's like nice to be wanted again and to see that there is opportunity out there and there's other people. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be depressed the next morning after I go out, but for that evening, it feels really, really nice.
What would you say has been your biggest epiphany through the whole thing, and what would you say to guys that are going through it?
Oh man, I would just say don't get married in the first place.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I agree.
I mean, for me, it's like I think what I have perspective on is not so much separating or divorcing after, but it's more what marriage is and what your expectations of marriage should be. Yeah. I just think people should. You should really, if a marriage is important to you, you need to work. You really need. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's like you need. If marriage is important to you need to work to keep it alive. You can't just take it for granted. It's a dynamic, living, breathing.
I would treat marriage like I treat my plants, like in my house. Like every once a month, I'm like, oh shit, I need to water that. Like I realize
that might be enough. That might be enough. You've been in a relationship for 5 years, so
yeah, that's true.
And look, people change, right? People grow over time. Yeah. People have different interests. And I feel, sometimes when we marry when we're young, we might not be in the right situation.
It's true.
Like I have a secret life that my girl doesn't know about.
This podcast,
right?
Yeah.
Not just this podcast, but let's be honest here. I probably go in the bathroom and crank out to porn, and she has no idea I do that, right?
Healthy
but that's
relationship.
I'm just saying,
she knows.
That's my secret man life, right? Or my secret. Or I check out chicks and I think about boning other girls. Like she didn't know about that.
She knows about it.
She knows. Just looking at you, everyone knows.
I'm just saying, like we have these secret things that over time the gap could just start to get larger and larger.
That's true.
You know?
For sure.
And there's another woman out there who's perfect for who you are now in your life and the man that you are.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep. She's coming
She
right after you.
listens. She listens.
Exactly.
Are you planning on? Would you want to get married again? I know you just said don't get married, but would you want to get married again if the right person came along?
I mean, I really think that's the other thing about relationships and marriage and everything. I mean, there's so many people get so much anxiety because they're like, I mean, women do it. It's the cliche that women do, but men do it too. They're like, oh, I need to have a relationship. I need to meet these goals and check these things off my list, and I need to. This is what I'm looking for in another person. But really, I mean, I think organically you're going to find the person you're going to. If you're supposed to be with somebody, you're going to organically find them. Yes, you can be open to it. Yes, you can do things, go out, go on online dating to make yourself more open. But, you can't just find the person that you're supposed to be with by checking a list
It'd be
off,
weird to, organically meet the person you're supposed to be with at, McDonald's where nothing's organic. I'm
sure that happens quite a bit for many people. Like, oh, you're back again?
Yeah. Oh, I love the big fries.
I love you. I'm so into you.
Would you supersize me?
Exactly. So we have this segment that's called Analyze This, where people write us in questions and we answer the questions. And I would love for you to answer the questions.
I would love to answer it.
Okay, wonderful. Some of these questions are really long, actually. I realize that all of the ones I chose for this week are super long, but they're really good, so I didn't want to cut them down, okay?
Cliff notes.
I know, but I don't like to condense them because I think they're interesting. And I think it's okay. Like when people call into Loveline and they get like 2 seconds to explain their story, and then Drew and Mike are like, okay, you have an addiction, or you were raped when you were younger. I would always struggle on that show because I wanted to hear more so they can actually have solid answers. So this is the more.
It's a podcast. That's what it's for.
Exactly. We've got 3 hours. It's totally fine. Okay. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I'm 25 years old and a short guy, only 5'2". I tend to let it bother me more than I should. And I'm also pretty shy and dislike attention. Who dislikes attention?
Well, when you're 5'2", you might be self-conscious.
Right, that's true. However, I do feel called on for being handsome with good features and otherwise for a lack of a less big-headed explanation. So he's been told that he's handsome and he has good features. I have girls that I'm interested in and that I'm pretty sure would be interested in me, but I feel moderately inaccurate and insecure. I've had relationships in the past as a teenager and just recently got out of a failed relationship of 6 years only about 1 year ago. Oh, just like you. I would like to be involved in the dating game, and I'm currently working on improving confidence through working out, learning new things, and trying to socialize more despite having some various troublesome and social qualities. Should I move forward with trying to date right now, or does my lack of self-confidence in certain areas ultimately disqualify me from having a successful outcome with women and or even meeting that special person?
He's just got to have confidence. I don't. How can you tell somebody to have confidence? I don't know. I mean, I can understand that
just
for short guys. I mean, it's definitely would be a thing for height.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so much is placed on height as part of manliness, but. Honestly, when you see some of these guys walking around that are short and just got huge balls, you're not thinking any less of them. Somebody might make a little joke like, "Oh, he's short," but man, if you can pull it off, nobody's saying shit.
If you can own it and not let it have you sulk, then yes, absolutely, you can conquer that.
My best friend's brother is like 5'3", and he's insanely amazing musician, and he's got confidence through the roof.
Is this Prince?
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's the thing. Prince is really short.
He sure is.
So yeah,
Tom Cruise,
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
They're all
Mark's very short. I saw him at the DMV one day. I was like, what?
Mo's short.
I'm
5'10".
Mo's like 4'11".
No, but look, I used to go salsa dancing, right? And the slickest dude in that joint that was spinning every beautiful girl in the world was this.
Well, of course, he's like Mexican doing salsa.
Was like a 5 foot, Mexican dude, but he had the most confidence. Look, for this gentleman in particular, look, obviously you have some confidence issues you need to work on. So go make friends with women, right? Don't go out there to sleep with them. Go out there to be their friend. You'll see that they have confidence issues just like you. Everyone has confidence issues. Once you realize that you're in the same boat as everyone else, it's not going to be as magnified on yourself that you're something different, And that will also, talking to women will just give you the confidence of, wow, like, this is a normal human being with feelings. I could handle this. And the next thing you know,
your fingers inside her.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like don't join a volleyball league. Like that would just be my one piece of advice.
Why?
Sorry,
you
it's
have
like
a powerful wrist.
Well, then join something like bowling. But where you don't have to be like concerned about. No, my family, none of us in my family are like super tall, so I think there's definitely a way.
Because you're Carneys.
We are. We're totally
literally
small
Carneys.
hands.
You're literally
literally.
No, but my dad's 5'5". He's very small, but he,
It's the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself. If you believe in yourself, and like Eli said, you can't teach anyone confidence. Like Marni's been trying to teach me now for like several months. It doesn't work. You have to get it on your own.
I'm a failed expert. Thanks a lot, Kristen.
Well,
I'm
it's
very
a fake
difficult
it till you make
subject.
it thing too. I mean, I really think you can. I mean, you don't have to be a dick, but it's just like I mean, really, what's confidence but just saying who cares? I mean, really,
right? That's really what it is.
Absolutely. But you have to learn that over time. So here's actually a little trick that I'm going to give to you guys. It's from a TED Talk that Amy Cuddy gave probably 2 years ago at TED Talks. But it is a quick way to boost up your confidence, like literally trick your body into being more confident because it alters your hormones. It raises your testosterone level and lowers your cortisol.
This is for men only.
This is for men and women. So you can do this at any time. So for 2 minutes, you want to hold the position of Wonder Woman, like how Wonder Woman stands, where you have your arms by your side on your hips, your broad shoulders and open. Like if you do it right now, you can literally feel like more energy going through you.
I do enjoy watching you do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like your cortisol levels drop, your testosterone raises, and that is a quick way to cheat gaining more confidence because you become more open and more comfortable. That is the first step. The other step is going and getting my program, How to Become a Man Women Want, and it can walk you through the other steps of how to gain confidence. Because for me, I used to be the most socially awkward, uncomfortable person in the entire world. I was 20 years old. I had a stroke because of this. So I used to live in my head. I used to be so uncomfortable, horrible body language, no eye contact, never speaking my mind. And I took the steps that are in my programs.
Small steps for the people who are short.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
I'm just kidding. I'm going to make as many short jokes
The
as
small
I can.
steps. Yeah, no, but those are the things that if you work on one little like what I was talking about before with the small steps, if you work on one little thing each week, that will slowly build your confidence levels up. So I know you can't say to a person like just be confident, but you can learn how to be more confident, and that
takes work for you.
Yes, and that's what I would say to this guy for right now. Take 3 months to work on you. And then you can present yourself to others.
And also do things that make you feel confident, that you're good at, that you feel comfortable with. Like my friend's brother, who's the musician, he's amazing at it. So he feels really good about himself because he's immersed in it all the time.
Yep.
And cut the people out of your life that put you down and make you feel small. Like
I think he's making
not
me
the
feel
best
small.
analogy.
No, I'm just saying, like, when I had confidence issues, I looked at who in my life also made me feel like crap.
But
They
nobody
made me
makes you feel
unworthy.
anything.
But the thing is,
I
it's
just
something
cut
like
those
this.
people out.
But nobody makes you feel something.
Yeah, you allow them to make you feel that
Yeah,
way.
and that's a part of confidence.
Of course.
And so this is on his shoulders. Okay. Hello,
Small
fabulous
shoulders, or
Marni,
shoulders
Fusili,
nonetheless.
Kristen, and Mo.
What about me?
And Eli.
Okay. Thank you.
And Cammy, twin of Marni. I write with a rather singular issue. I'm a concert musician, funny, violins, etc., and was the victim of a freak accident with a stage light a few years back. This now leaves me with a permanent condition where I'm fully functional, and there's nothing in my appearance to tell anything happened, except that I have to wear a pair of sunglasses all the time. So that's freaking cool. Jack Nicholson does it.
amazing.
As now I can see in
Bono
the dark.
shared the experience.
Yes, there you go. Okay. As to how I look, kids in stores regularly ask if I'm Cyclops from the X-Men comics. Are they those big glasses? I don't know. What does that look like for Cyclops?
Cyclops are like red goggles.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, there's a strong resemblance, same body type, hair, and very similar face. Now, I'm not a negative person. I consider the event to be one of the most beautiful things to have happened to me, as it brought self-realization. But there's always a difficulty really connecting romantically with women, despite their very positive body language. I read your blog all the time. I'm very intent on not projecting creepiness and am in fact an Alexander technique teacher. So I have excellent posture. But since women can't see my eyes, I have a difficult time attaining attraction. Rapport I get very easily. OSA and LCA are truly excellent practices, by the way. And now I'm just like pumping myself up, and have gotten me several very enthusiastic multi-hour conversations. All this long, permeable to ask how could I, in a social situation, successfully get through to the ladies despite not being able to see with my eyes? A variation on Declaring the Elephant, perhaps.
This sounds like
Best
a movie.
Scott Summers.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
It does. Cyclops.
Listen,
dating.
if Christopher Reeves can have a wife and satisfy her,
He's dead.
I'm just saying, like, a guy who's paralyzed from the neck down was able to have a successful and happy marriage.
But what he's saying is that
Yeah.
eye contact is an essential part of the seduction process and of actually connecting with people where it becomes challenging for him. I don't know what his eyes
Yeah, I don't
look
know
like.
his
But
condition.
Speaking of which, your eyes lit up when all that stuff about how he read your blog. Your
I know,
eyes-
seriously, I got so upset. I'm like, I didn't
She should
read
put
through
on
this
those
one
glasses.
before. Exactly. I would actually say that if you can't use your eyes in the same way, you can still have your face pointed towards a person
Yeah.
and your body language
And
leaning
your
in towards them,
touch.
and your touch. That's what I was
Yeah,
going to
your
say.
touch is
Touch is
huge.
essential.
We could get those shades that have eyes painted on the front. maybe?
Yeah, exactly. There.
You could get like Bradley
Many
Cooper's eyes
solutions.
painted on the front of your shades.
Exactly.
Just
Done.
put a mask on a Bradley
You guys
Cooper.
like-
If you're gonna
There's
go-
more ways to connect with women than with your eye contact. I know that, not having that eye contact, it does ruin something a little bit, at least from probably your point of view, you think it does. But yeah, I think touch would be the essential piece. And the body language of getting closer to somebody. When you are, doing LCA which is learn, confirm, and affirm with a woman, it is leaning and it is touching. It is like tickling the side of her leg. It is brushing the side of her arm. It's maybe moving the hair away from her face. Because I don't hear that you can't see. I just hear that you have to have glasses on. So he's not saying he's blind.
Right. And many musicians, not just musicians, there's lots of blind people who have healthy, satisfying relationships.
Absolutely. So that's what I would say to do. Just work in the touch a little bit more and have your body language be your eyes, where that's where you're connected. I'm like doing a ballet movement right now as I'm talking, but it's like moving in closer and showing her with your body language that you are connected and listening, rather than just having great conversations.
I want to know more about the glasses. I know. I'm picturing this. I brought up a picture.
Oh, that's what it looks like. Well, that's interesting. No matter what, that's a good conversation.
I would just say take off the glasses for like a couple minutes so the person can kind of see you. But I think technically you probably can't, so I don't think that's good advice. Right. But
and he said, best Scott Summers, and he said, Mo will get this.
Oh, thanks, Scott. Look, Scott, I do get it. Look, Scott, if you have confidence in yourself and you have faith, I think you're going to be fine.
I think you are too.
I feel like right now that you are kind of absorbed in maybe this is why they don't like me. So you might be slightly projecting that.
Yeah, I also think you may not be taking it to that next level either.
Yeah, don't. Act like nothing's wrong and nothing will be wrong.
Also, quit the classical music and maybe join a Pixies Midnight Runner cover band or something.
Yeah. Great suggestions coming from Eli.
So write a movie, make a band.
Exactly.
Well, doesn't this sound like a movie? Doesn't this sound like it could be a story? He can't use his eyes.
Right.
He speaks with his instrument.
He looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Hey, guys, I'm writing because my problem with women is that I'm not sure anymore what I want. I'll admit that I'm a very attractive guy, but despite that, I still have the same problems most guys have.
I love when they say
Thanks
that.
for admitting it.
Yeah.
I get
real humble.
I get so much shit for it because most people assume I should have no problem whatsoever. I have been out there in California for almost 40 years now through school and gone pro in all things but my dating life. Wait, have we read this one before?
No, I've never heard.
No, I just think we've had other arrogant people write in.
I should be dating plenty of girls. I found that I make up all kinds of excuses in my mind for why I'm not dating, such as it's just not my thing, I'm not ready, or she's not worth it. But I'm constantly looking in the back of my mind and the streets of Hollywood, unfortunately, where I live, for a relationship. I know I want it, but I tell myself I don't because I am bad at getting it. Okay, so if I had to sum it up, the conflict, I suppose I'd say the attractive, sexy man side of me wants to be a ladies' man. The opposing side of me wants love, but struggles with women in everything from approach to conversation to closing to texting to the date and getting to sex. How do I get the confidence I sometimes have to cross over to when I need it most? I've recently begun listening to your podcast, found through Marni's newsletters. It's been great to hear women and Mo talk about relationships, and it's simply enlightening for all the guys out there who simply weren't programmed with this information. Thanks so much and keep it coming. Sexy people have problems too. CB.
So I can't figure out if this guy is confident or not.
Right, it's weird. Yeah. He should be a character.
He is in this area. He isn't writing emails, but he's saying that is not that it's horrible for guys who have it all together to for people to think that they have it all together and they don't have it all together. But that is hard for him to struggle with. He's like, I'm confident in all areas of my life, but when it comes to women, the confidence doesn't cross over.
To me, it sounds like he might have a hard time connecting with other people or with women or seeing other people's maybe interests or points of view, or I don't know.
I think it sounds like he's just doubting himself. So actually, this is like a constant theme in the questions today and in our conversation before. It's when you think of things big picture, it becomes really intimidating and overwhelming. So that for you, if you're wonderful in all of these areas, you always think, oh, I should be a natural at picking up women. I should be the master at it. So you look like, okay, I'm here now, but here's where I should be, instead of looking at all of those little steps in between to get to becoming a master. So it puts you off, because you're saying you're having trouble with the approach, with dates, with closing, with conversation. That's a lot to work on.
Yeah.
So I would say for right now, pick one thing to do. So let's say it is approach 10 women every single day, women you're attracted to or women you're not attracted to, and just strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
Or maybe just go to a total uggo. Well, you're just going to knock it out of the park.
Pick out that low fruit and just eat it.
But the thing is, I don't think that is what he's having issues with. I think he could probably talk to those people he wasn't interested in. It's the people he's more invested in and feels the pressure to be able to talk to them.
Well, look, he has confidence in these other parts of his life, and he has success. And it sounds like what he's doing is he's putting women on this unattainable platform and making them these aliens that he just can't relate to, instead of realizing they're just like everyone else. Women, and I like your advice of just going to talk to women, humanize women, right? Women snort, they fart. They puke. They smell sometimes. They have BO.
And farting.
Just like, I'm just saying, like, women have all those things that when we're looking
disgusting.
for a hot chick, like, we don't think about that stuff. Every time I see a hot girl, I'm like, she probably just took the worst shit ever. And it kind of brings them down and humanizes them. And then I'm like, I could go talk to her. It's not
but that's the thing. If that's what you need to do,
Yeah.
then that's what you need to do in the very beginning. If you can create your own little tricks, like, borrow that one from Mo where you look at a girl and you think of 5 things that humanize her, that like she probably took a shit this morning, that she's, or whatever you need to help you. And like usually in the past I would advise against that, but for some reason it is. They're little tools to help, and then eventually you don't need them. As long as you don't get too fixated and you're like looking at her like she's, a disgusting person.
That really does work. I was nervous about coming into this podcast, but I was sitting out there in the lobby. I was like, all 3 of these people probably just took huge, massive shits.
Absolutely.
The lucky one.
Like, okay, yeah.
Lucky
Not
one,
me.
Exactly. But it's true. Those things really do help. And like, in the past I would say, well, you don't need to put somebody down in order for you to feel better about yourself. It's not really putting someone down. It's really just providing yourself with a tool that works for you. So that's what I would say for CB is to,
if that's your real name,
if that's
CB.
Exactly.
name.
Would be to, picture women taking shits.
It's Charlie Brown. It's
It is.
Charlie Brown.
It is. But then approaching
Charlie Brown.
10 women every single day and having it be your goal to get rejected and being okay with it.
And your mom and your sisters can't be one of them. CB.
Exactly. Unless they're super hot. Yeah.
That also took shit.
All right. One more question. Actually, I was going to make one comment to CB. I think that we should, it's a comment to you guys. I think that we should do like a boot camp. Like an Ask Women boot camp. I think that'd be really fun.
And I get to take the guys out and just get them hammered. And
pretty much. And like picture women going to the bathroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
The whole time. That's what you guys
You could even put a camera in the bathroom.
I'm just putting the idea
just to make sure they just took a shit.
Exactly. And then you
Need confirmation.
Yeah. Do you want to make out with this girl now?
He does not wipe.
Exactly. Or
not
wash your
wanna
hands
talk to
afterwards. All right. Okay. Next one. Okay. I have one question. I'm not going to read the first one because that's just for me. He was just asking me like when I'm available
Yes, you're on
to
a
go on a
date.
date.
Yeah.
Exactly. What do you say to a girl if she says she has a boyfriend? Do you just deal with that awkward moment and walk away? Or do you continue talking to her without letting it discourage you?
Or do you slap her like I feel like most men want to do?
I think nowadays a lot of women, them saying they have a boyfriend, I mean, depending on the context, doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to dissuade you. I mean, what I'm saying is they cheat. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I sometimes get the feeling when women say I have a boyfriend or I have a husband, they're not necessarily trying to dissuade you. It depends on context, right? I mean, sometimes they're like, I have a boyfriend, but they're like, well, I have a boyfriend, but.
To be open to things. Well, he talks about this one video on YouTube posted by some guy. He said to play reverse psychology on the girl. Ooh, you okay? And say to her, what's it like being in the perfect relationship? This will get her thinking and
About how much she hates a relationship.
and say to the guy that it's not perfect.
a good
Also,
move.
Yeah.
I read on one of the websites that you could say, oh, that's cool. Does he treat you nice? If she says yes, the guy will say, oh, I wouldn't. And continue the conversation. I read both methods on the internet. What are your thoughts?
I don't like
Jersey.
when guys do that because I've been in that situation maybe like once. I don't know. I could be making this up, but that they've said something about my boyfriend. Like I've kind of said I have a boyfriend, which I usually don't do because I just get afraid that they'll want to punch me because I didn't tell them like 5 seconds into talking to him.
Right.
But when I do, and they say something about him, I get very defensive. Like you don't
that's
know
because
him.
you love your boyfriend. But if there's another girl who's in a different situation who may not be so happy with her boyfriend, this could be a great opening. Just to test the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
So going back to our first conversation from the top of the show, so if you did say something like this and she didn't jump on board with you, I wouldn't continue down this path to ask more of these questions.
Yeah, she'd be like, my boyfriend's 6'8". Do you want to keep talking?
Yeah.
I get started getting.
That's almost freakishly tall, though.
Yeah, it's really
exactly.
weird. Well, I wanted people to know that I was trying to say really tall, but like I didn't really.
So
know
what
to
what
go
do
there.
you say if what do you do if she says she has a boyfriend? Let's just say you're talking to a girl and she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend.
This is what I used to always do. I'd go, you have a boyfriend? She'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, are you going to marry him? And then I'd know within a second if she was going to marry the guy or not. And you know right away.
Yeah, but do men want to get involved with a woman who like could potentially be like breaking up and
listen?
with their
Women just
and
hang
stuff?
on to men until they find another guy. Like for women, I've realized it's really hard for them just to break up and not have another opportunity waiting for them because they're just women out there who need a man. So I'd ask them, do you have, are you going to marry this guy? And you'll know within a second. It's either if they go, well, I don't know, maybe, or I don't know, we talked about, or they go if they say no. Like, right away that relationship is going to end. Whether it's a year from now, whether it's 6 months from now, whether it's tomorrow, it's going to end, okay? And then I don't bring up the boyfriend ever again after that. Because every time you bring up the boyfriend in the relationship, you keep on bringing whatever doubt, whatever problems are into that conversation.
You put that energy in
I just
there.
bring myself
But most
into
women
it, and
do
that's
say,
it.
Eli, I think, is being a little optimistic. I have to say that.
Well, that's
I
just
think-
also my experience.
Wow, you found some.
No, just kidding.
Because normally, if a girl says, I have a boyfriend, it means, like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Usually.
sometimes I'm just like, oh, are you going to marry him?
No,
Oh,
but I like that. Okay, so these techniques that he's talking about in the YouTube video, it's not reverse psychology. It's using NLP, right? So it's
What's NLP?
neurolinguistics programming. So it's what's it like being in a perfect relationship, right? So either you can exactly what your question does, Mo. It gets her to be like, oh, it's not perfect, so that can take her down that path. But it gets her to be in that space where she is really positive, and so then you can associate the words that you say afterwards with positive experiences that get her to attach those positive experiences to you, which could possibly get her to cheat, which is not a very good thing to do. But I'm just saying, like, the way that I would say to handle it, I kind of like most thing if you want to be that forward. But the whole thing is to not be discouraged by her saying, I have a boyfriend. You can either push her a little bit more and you could even tease her, just be like, oh, well, what do you think about you talking to me like this? Or like something else that's more playful, and still sticking around for a couple more minutes and then deciding, is she somebody that I actually want to put my time into? Do I think she's being serious about having a boyfriend, or is there a chance? Or can she introduce me to her hot friends are there because she's taken? Is she going to be my wing girl for the rest of the night?
Yeah.
So,
Or does she want to be double teamed?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Her boyfriend might be nice.
But don't be that guy that goes out to ruin a perfectly good
No.
relationship. Don't be that dude.
No, exactly, because that's being an asshole and a
karma is
douchebag.
going to come back to get you.
Yeah, there's no point in that. But I think that's it for our Analyze This.
Well, that was great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
thank you so much. Like you were like really honest, and thank you so much for talking so openly about your separation, because that I think a lot of people who listen to this show are going through that same situation, and it's nice to hear somebody else going through it.
It's tough. I mean, there's no bones about it. I mean, I've just always been really honest about it because, why not? I mean, you could. It helps to share. It makes you feel better.
Yeah,
to
it's
share.
therapy.
Without being. Yeah, it's therapeutic. Without being like, broadcasting all my problems all over the place.
Right.
No, but I think it's really good. Like, one of the main things that you said that you learned from is that relationships require work. And
I was listening to an episode of you guys' podcast, and I was hearing, like, you were talking about your relationship and the issues that you guys have, and you were talking. I'm looking at the two of you now, and it was just like, it's just echoes of the same. I think everybody goes through that in their relationship, and it's just, you have to continually reinvest in the relationship if you want it to go on.
Absolutely.
It's a compromise, and
Well, it's the same thing with your job. It's the same thing with your
Sure.
children. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with your friends. If you're not
With
constantly
your hair, with everything.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
You get a haircut every 3
Yeah.
months. Why wouldn't you do the same thing with your relationship? You
Right.
have to take care of it. If you ignore it completely, it's just going to get resentful.
Yeah.
Same thing with your hair. It's
Sorry,
gonna
Mo
get
couldn't relate to
frizzy
the hair
and- I know,
comment.
seriously. Do you
Sorry, I
feel
left
left
him out
out?
there.
Sorry about that. No, but it is really true. But I think it's great that you
you're still
realize
getting
that.
lots of tang,
Oh, yeah.
even with your bald head.
So can we have Eli play us out
I
on
would
one of
love
his
to.
songs?
Yes.
I'd
Yeah,
love to.
But
Well,
first, tell people where they can get in touch with you,
well,
besides
I'm-
Howard Stern.
Well, I'm on Twitter at Eli Braden at ELI.
He's very funny.
Thank you. I have a podcast called the Eli Braden Podcast. It's very different from this. It's kind of like it's very absurd.
I would think it would be.
I couldn't get any real guests, so I just pretend to interview really. I have Sir Paul McCartney as a guest.
Oh, I love that.
I have Yoko Ono's coming up as a guest. I have
Is this like a
Russell
mini Phil
Brand.
Henry thing? Are you doing all the voices?
It is very much inspired by
Yeah.
Phil Henry.
Yeah.
I'm a huge
I love
fan
it.
of Phil Henry.
Yeah.
We had him
We
on
had
our
him,
show.
yeah.
Oh, did you really? Oh,
was
that's great.
hilarious.
That's great. Yeah.
I think our audience got
Henry's on
confused.
this
That they're
show.
like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
was
our
he doing?
listeners had
Was
no
he
idea.
doing voices? I mean,
He was doing the woman.
characters?
Bobby
Oh,
Dooley.
Bobby
Yeah,
Dooley.
Dooley.
Oh, it's great.
that's
and her
great.
husband,
And we were just
too.
laughing the whole time.
Oh, it was
Steve.
I've always just wanted to be in a room with him while he does that, like to see how. I mean, I know I've read how he does it, but to actually watch.
Yeah.
it
Oh,
happen,
it was
you know?
amazing. You're just like, what's going on?
There are some YouTube videos of him doing it.
Oh, really? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have a song I thought might be appropriate called "Single Moms."
Ooh.
It's about single moms.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's play it out.
I feel
Wanna hear
like
it.
Bill O'Reilly, when we say play it out, did you guys ever see that on YouTube?
No.
Where the text, I don't know, Art might cut this out.
Do it live.
Yes, do it live. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad Art knew that. He got a little angry.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
That's the best impression I've ever heard.
I wish you could hear him. Oh, I can't hear him.
Bill O'Reilly basically didn't know what play it out meant on the teleprompter, and he's like, what does this mean, play us out? And so then he's like, I'll do it live, fuck it, I'll do it live. He
Really?
made it out. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yes, it's so good.
You got it down.
That is funny. Well, just while you're tuning up, check out new episodes of the Ask Women podcast every Thursday. Follow us on Twitter at Ask Women Podcast. And you can also send questions into ask@askwomenpodcast.com.
And check out my sketch comedy videos on See You Next Tuesday Comedy on YouTube.
I like it.
The end. We're going to now hear some real comedy from Eli.
Well, this song's for all the single moms who are at home listening to podcasts because it's very difficult for them to leave the house,
Right.
And have we were talking about having relationships, going out finding men. It's tough for single moms. So I thought I'd throw them a little bone with this song. A single mom's seems like taking care of kids is all you ever do. But tonight, I think you need somebody to take care of you. That's why I brought some wine, and I'm cooking up a romantic dinner for two. And when your kids fall asleep, I'm gonna bone you. A single moms, they need love too, but what can they do? A social life could never be easy. Besides, let's face it, most men consider single mothers damaged goods. But I'm willing to lower my standards, I'm willing to pander. I'll tell you that you're still as hot as when you got pregnant. Ooh, in other words, I'm willing to lie. So just take off those dirty sweatpants and give me a dirty lap dance. I like the childbearing booty when the childbearing booty goes boom. But I'm putting on 2 extra rubbers if I'm going anywhere near your womb. I'm talking about your womb now. Single moms, I'm willing to bone you. That's right, I'm willing to bone you, baby. Single moms, I'm willing to bone you. Oh yeah, I'm willing to bone you, baby. Single moms, I'm willing to bone you. A bone, I really wanna fucking bone you. Single moms, I'm willing to bone you. Just don't expect me to phone you. Thank you.